In 2015, Elijah Rising, only through the support of this amazing community, purchased 84 acres of rural property with the hopes and dreams of launching the state's largest restoration campus for women overcoming human trafficking. This property, as many of you remember, needed extensive renovations, and it became our daily, and I mean daily, labor of love to prepare the way for the women that we knew we would one day serve. We had this understanding that we always heard that the city needed beds, the city needed housing, so we were decided that we would be the ones to provide them. Volunteers, partners, businesses, experts, professionals gave their time, their expertise, financial support to build something that none of us could ever believe that it would ever be this beautiful. And it's amazing what this community has really built together. There's only one problem. When we began to have a soft open and serving women with children who we had worked with previously on a case-by-case basis, we began providing housing and opportunities. And we realized that it is so much more than beds or housing that we needed, but we needed extensive programming to support women recovering from sex trafficking. But what does programming mean? What does that mean? What it means is that the same way that the rafters and the foundation and the sheetrock had to be tore down and rebuilt, that we dedicated ourselves to understanding the full extent of needs that a holistic program supporting survivors would be. So we took years to learn, to seek, to pray, to listen, and we've concluded that our program had to be one that was clinically supported, survivor-informed, and completely holistic and individualized to every woman who had walked through our program. And we decided that the 8 stages of wellness model would become the foundation for the relaunch of this program. And I want to walk through the 8 stages with you. I want to share the 8 stages of wellness because I want you to know that anything, amount of money, time, support that you are giving into this program, into Elijah Rising, is not just to provide a safe space, it's not just to provide a home, but it is supporting an entire village and network of care to every single woman who steps foot in that home so that she has the absolute best chance of recovering with the right amount of support that is made just for her. Those 8 dimensions of wellness begin with first environmental, a safe and therapeutic environment that provides shelter and care and safety for the women that come to live there. And not only do we provide safety, but we encourage and give space for them to rest and felt safety. In their physical wellness, we provide medical care, and we go and backtrack the years and years of physical medical neglect that most of our clients have seen, finding what they need, what their teeth are like, if they need to go get dentistry care, if they need to go to a doctor, if they need glasses, if they need well women's checkups that they haven't had in years. We also provide emotional wellness. We offer what I believe to be some of the best trauma-informed therapy and psychology in the state, if not the nation, with experts who are focused on the issues of recovering from sex trafficking. We also provide spiritual wellness, which is access to biblical counsel, space to discover who they are, who they were created to be, and that includes a mature and well-trained staff there who is ready to listen more than to speak, but to provide any type of support and wise counsel for every single woman who may be in our home. Because the big breakthroughs do happen in therapy, they do happen in the programming, but sometimes they happen over dinner. We provide social wellness. We're rebuilding a burnt down bridge of interpersonal communication and relationships, letting them know that there are safe people in the world, but also how to have boundaries and how to have communication and long-lasting, fulfilling relationships that are in a safe and appropriate way. We offer occupational wellness, and if you know me, you know that this is very important to my heart. But we provide a way for women to work, receive employment, to receive job skills and job history. They get to come to work and see how amazing they actually are and create a great platform for the rest of their professional career. We also provide intellectual wellness. Many of our residents will be going to college while they're in our program, will be making up, getting their GED, and this partnered specifically with the emotional wellness, the therapy. We're seeing them have that process of healing from PTSD, and that it actually opens up more of their ability to see how intellectually brilliant they are. And so it's all of these pieces of wellness work together. We also provide financial wellness. Many of the women that we serve have had their traffickers steal their identity, ruin their credit. And so we give them an opportunity to rebuild those things, to get a bank account or see who they can work with, to set themselves up to move from supported living to successful, independent life. The 8 dimensions of wellness are the things that I've mentioned and much, much more. And the one thing that we want you to know is that the debt that these women are left with after a life of human trafficking is so deep. But we really believe that with these 8 dimensions, with the love of God and the support of this amazing community, that we can give women the best possible chance of a wonderful and thriving life after our program.
It was important for me to be involved in this project as an actor because, honestly, storytelling as an actor was not my initial way of storytelling. I'm a filmmaker by trade, and actually, I came to that after being an activist. So I'm an activist first, and I actually became a filmmaker and a storyteller as an actor later. So storytelling in this sense, it was important for me to be a part of this, in particular because of the stories that are being told. Human trafficking is one of the biggest travesties that's happening in our world today that still no one talks about, right? That very little is being done about. The fact that Elijah Rising is a God-centered organization that plans on eradicating this through prayer is something that I want to be a part of as a Christian, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, as an actor. I think the role that storytelling plays in activism is that it allows individuals to take in information and perhaps instances that they can't imagine if that story is being told to them, if it's being verbally told to them by someone that's been through that, if they're seeing a movie or a television show that exemplifies that or shows you what's happening. An individual, as human beings, we are most better to connect with something and identify with something if we can see it, right? If we can see it and even hear it, it ignites empathy or a knowing in us that allows us to connect and maybe be moved to want to do something about it. I think that's the main reason that storytelling is important in activism. What it felt like to engage with the story I did last year is a little different than it felt to engage with this story because coming from different places. The first monologue I did was someone who was a volunteer, someone who worked with the population that was being abused, right? This is coming from someone who is on the other side of that, right? She's been through all of that and now she's coming through, she's being restored, right? So the difference is that that first monologue I connected with, it was like I could have written it myself because I've been on those front lines, doing HIV/AIDS outreach back in the day, doing education out in the streets, doing education with the runaway youth. So I knew her, I was her. This woman, I wasn't her, but I've worked with her. So it took me a bit more time to step into her shoes and to connect with her. But once I understood that it was a story of redemption and restoration and what it feels like. My director gave me a wonderful note about this is someone who is non-apologetic about now knowing that she's smart, now finding out that she has value, now finding out that she's worth something. No one has ever told her that. We all can connect with that. We've all been through that. So I had to just go to that place in order to connect with this character who I named Sandy. But once I understood her, I just hoped that I was able to be the proper vessel for sharing her story. Because I don't see myself as coming in here and doing work and manipulating this. I tried to get myself out of the way. I always pray, God, less of me and more of you when I step on stage or in front of a camera. And that means me getting out of the way and being a vessel for the story that needs to be told. Was my eyelash that I told you guys it was that glory tear, but it was the eyelash that did it. It wasn't me. But you know what? But it wasn't because the monologue didn't move me there. In fact, I played against that because I understood that these monologues are a progression, and that this is on the end of exhilaration, and that even though there is a joy in her exhilaration, because I can cry on cue, but I didn't want to go there and give it that. But it's good that kind of happened. See, God knows what he's doing.
Won't he do it?
And he did that because that joy needed to be, that joy that gets you so much that you do drop that tear, is where she is living right now. So God, here again, it wasn't me. I was a vessel. And that is a prime example of him using me. He made my eyelash do that so that I would have that at that moment.
Praise God. Yeah.
And praise God, pass the biscuits.
All right, hi, my name is Alice M. Gatling. I am a director as well as an actress. I have been acting and directing now since I was 18, so that's been a good number of years. Actually, I'm quite thrilled to be working on this project again. I think in life there are certain social issues that we feel innately drawn to in terms of what we can do to contribute to eradicating that social issue. And this is one for me. So having the opportunity to come back to this again and contribute a voice and have some input, there was no way I would say no. No way I could say no. And not only was I thrilled, every actor that I asked about this project wanted to have some sort of part in helping. So this topic is one that just stirs me up, angers me, makes me want to do something. So I enjoy working on this project. I will work on this project every year if you all call me. Well, you know, it's interesting because I'm an educator, I'm a teacher. So one of the things that we receive is training to start being on the lookout for any type of abuse that affects a child. But what I wasn't aware of was how prevalent it was in the city of Houston. And I was not made aware of that until last year through Elijah Rising and working on this project. So then I started reading about it more, finding out about these issues, and it's alarming. It's alarming to think of what's happening in our city right under our noses, and we don't know about it. You know, so it's troubling to me. And yeah, finding out about it last year in the depth that I did really made me start speaking about it, posting about it, really looking for clues so that if it's anywhere around me, I can address it. I want them to understand and take away that there are individuals who have made this their mission. And what we can do is support the organizations and those individuals who have this as their mission, to be there, to support these individuals, to offer them hope, to offer them a way out, because that is the only way they're gonna escape, is if they know that there are some loving hands waiting to receive them. And I just want them to know that this is an organization we can get behind, we can support, so that they can continue to do this awesome work of reaching out and helping individuals who are caught up in the life of sex trafficking or human trafficking. Which one resonates with me? I think it's the Father's prayer. The Father's prayer. Because I think in order for us to truly tackle this, it's not gonna just take women speaking out on behalf of women. It's gonna take men getting involved and saying no, and letting individuals see that you are involved and willing to stand up to put a stop to this sort of thing. So hearing that father talk and enunciate about how he stood with her while she cried, powerful, powerful. I think it puts it up front, because people go to the theater and they expect to receive an experience. And that's what the arts can do, give you an experience. So maybe you're not out on the street somewhere and you actually see these, but we can bring those stories and put it right in front of you so that you still get a chance to feel something. It's like if we don't feel something, there's a detachment. So we've got to give them a chance to feel, and that's what the arts does. The arts actually I don't care if it's music, it's gonna make you feel something. When it comes to acting, it's gonna make you feel something. So then you can no longer say, I don't know what that's about. I'm removed from that. So we bring it and give it to you so that you get a chance to experience it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you're here with me, that means that you've tuned in for the pre-show, the hidden gem that you may not have even known existed. We're obviously not in person at our gala or event this year. Because of COVID, we want to protect everyone's safety, but we also use this as an opportunity to be able to share this experience and this night with so many more people than can fit in one building. In a second, you're going to meet Elijah Rising's Executive Director, Micah Gamboa. But before that, I want to let you know that I will be joining you through this pre-roll experience as everyone gets settled, gets comfortable, and gets their TV, iPhone, computer set up for this event. So Micah's going to go ahead and say hello and tell you a little bit about the amazing people who helped make this film possible.
Hey guys, I just want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to 80 Players Theater. If you have not checked them out, you really should. They're right here in Houston. They're a Christian performing arts company. Absolutely world-class, phenomenal. But they have made tonight possible by donating their entire theater, their set, even some of their crew helped us out. So we just want to say thank you, thank you. It's because of businesses and organizations like them and many of you watching who have given your time, your talents, your treasure, your skill sets that help move this movement forward. So again, thank you, 80 Players. Thank you so much for all the other businesses and organizations who have made tonight possible.
Thank you so much, Micah. And of course, thank you again, 80 Players. We miss you. We wish we could be in your beautiful theater, but we are all at home or at a church or wherever you are. And one thing we might know is that you probably wanted a fancy night out, and you might feel like you're a little bit, missing out on something we could have been doing, but there's a way to keep it fancy even if you're at home. So why don't we make a little mocktail together to make this feel more like a night out on the town? So we can enjoy a proper night out, let's put on some music. Alexa, play my Quarantini playlist.
Now playing Quarantini playlist.
So we're gonna make ourselves a little drink to make it feel like we're not just sitting at home. So you can make this with whatever you have lying around the house. You could even use alcohol. We can pray for you if that's you. We're no judgments here, but you might be sitting at your church where you have to go sneak in the back and find some grape juice and wafers. But whatever that is, I'm gonna make myself something I made up today. And we're gonna take one of these really expensive $20 cherries from Central Market. I don't know why they're so expensive, but they said they were the best. Then I'm gonna add a couple dashes of aromatic bitters. Also, don't know what that is, but I found these in my husband's bar. Fresh sprig of rosemary from my garden. And then I peeled the zest of a orange with a potato peeler. It was very difficult. Just gonna put that all around the edge and then fill it with some soda water. Oh gosh, that was violent. Okay, got a little scared for a moment. Now you could put some fancy ice in yours if you wanted. I'm just gonna take it just like this. You don't wanna ruin all your bubbles. So just a baby stir. And ta-da, you have yourself a beautiful mocktail quarantini for your fancy night in the living room. It's not bad, I like it. So our next segment of the pre-roll show is gonna talk about one of our most influential programs that we've had, the podcast. Now, I've heard they've had some really wonderful guest hosts recently, but it has been an amazing source for information, education that can reach the entire world. If you're here, you might have been here because you saw us on our podcast. But we're gonna go to Adam to talk a little bit more about what we've been doing and why we started an Elijah Rising podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Adam with Elijah Rising. I am the development director here with the organization. And in February, we had the idea of launching a podcast. And at that time, we just didn't know how fortuitous that idea would really be. And so we launched that podcast. I think the first episode came out early in February, and then a global pandemic hit that immediately impacted our ability to do our normal, regularly scheduled awareness initiatives and meetings and van tours and all the other things that we do with awareness. But we had already built out a podcast and had launched it. And we were just so thankful for the opportunity to be able to create content in a fresh way and bring it to you via the podcast on, Spotify and iTunes, but I think most importantly, and my favorite medium from which you can find the podcast is on YouTube. Making that video version of the podcast every other week has just been so powerful. And it's been a really great experience for us as a team to just explore the different aspects of trafficking. We always start the podcast by saying, hey, this is the Elijah Rising podcast, where we discuss the myths, misconceptions, and most asked questions about sex trafficking. And that's really the mission of the podcast, the why of the podcast. We want to talk about those different issues that intersect with sex trafficking in hopes that we help you, the listener, the viewer, understand the issue deeper and better and from various perspectives. So we have episodes about trauma-informed care. We have episodes about, sex trafficking and its intersection with racism, the social enterprise episode about how we are fighting sex trafficking through social enterprise. And so these are just different examples of episodes that have been so much fun to produce, but also we're learning as well right along with you. So it's been great, and we hope that you, if you haven't already, that you would go and you would subscribe to the Elijah Rising podcast wherever you get your podcast. Again, you can find audio versions and a video version every other week on YouTube.
If you're in your lovely home, just like I'm in my lovely home, you could throw together just a little something that you may already have in your refrigerator. I'm just kidding, I really don't live here, and I didn't make this. My friend with a much nicer house and aesthetic made this for me, but you could pretend. You could throw Lunchables on a paper plate, whatever makes you feel comfortable. And then to set the mood, light an Elijah Rising candle. If all you have is a Yankee Candle or Bath and Body Works, we can change that one day. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. I'm gonna go sit down before we hear about why Elijah Rising even has candles and how they have changed so many lives. It's a pretty cool program, but let's go hang out in the living room and get ready for the show.
When we began to face the issue of sex trafficking, we were devastated by the number of survivors who struggled to find lasting and safe employment. We realized that a major part of the recovery process had to be economic empowerment. The women that we serve have survived immense harm, but their resilience and strength inspire us every day. These women are creators, innovators, and visionaries. They deserve the freedom to thrive and pursue their greatness. At Elijah Rising, we create hand-built goods that empower women who have survived human trafficking. We know that you're gonna love what we make at Elijah Rising Goods because we believe in the goods that we create and we believe in the amazing women that produce them. Now that we're all set up in this space here, I hope that wherever you are, that you are comfortable and you are ready. Because if you're at your church, if you're with a group of friends, or if you're in your own living room, I want you to remember as you're in that safe and comfortable environment, that this isn't just about raising awareness. It's not just about enjoying this event, but it's about supporting our safe home, a place of refuge for women from all across the country who have come to find a place to restore from human trafficking. And that's what this night is all about. And so I'm so excited for you to see this next segment to learn more about how Elijah Rising is partnering with the restoration of women.
My name is Liesl Arauz, and I am the program director for Elijah Rising. The Elijah Rising Restoration Program is a comprehensive program that serves adult women who have survived a life of sexual exploitation and trafficking. An average day in the life of the program is different. Some days we're able to wake up and have kind of a slow morning, have breakfast together. Depending on the day, they'll have groups, they'll have therapy. We're really excited about volunteers coming in and bringing what they love to do to kind of feed into the program life. You know, there's other outdoor activities. We have, 84 acres that we're getting ready to develop but right now it's just raw land where we can kind of just play outside, so it's great. On some days, some of the women will come into work. In the evenings, we all come back together and have dinner together. And it's either cooked by staff or staff and resident together to really cultivate that atmosphere of community and family living. One resident has told me, the first time she had had a family meal in over a decade or had a family meal sober and longer than that was in our program. And I remember her telling me with tears just how much that meant to her. And so those are the kind of things that determine what we do and why we do what we do, is because it's part of that restoration period. Everything we do is on purpose and with a purpose. As we look forward 5 to 10 years from today, some of the major needs we have, number one is being able to serve women with children. One of the needs will be, developing a full service daycare that is licensed and under the umbrella within the state's parameters. Another would be increasing our staff capacity to be able to have the live-in support that some of these moms will need, whether they've been with their children through that whole period in the life or they've had their children removed, and we're working with them towards reunification. So some of these, breakthroughs that these women have are just incredible, and being allowed to witness those things is such an honor and a gift. And I wish our donors and our supporters and those who love our organization could see, but unfortunately, our main priority is always going to be the women we serve and protecting them and honoring their confidentiality, so then they can come out at the end and tell their own story. And we always want to honor that. Because it's their story to tell.
That was so incredible hearing about the Restoration Campus, and we are so excited to be live at Celebration Church to bring you this virtual event. Now, you might wonder what our connection to Celebration Church is. They've been a really dear and close partner for the past couple years. Now, there's many ways to get churches involved in what you do, but there was a time when Micah went to go speak at Celebration Church and her heart went into full cardiac arrest on their stage. But praise God, it was a complete miracle. She was completely fine, had no after effects, and was almost were pretty literally raised from the dead. And it was a wonderful, miraculous moment. But also, if there's any way to keep a church engaged in your ministry, it's having your executive director almost die on their stage. So we're going to throw it over to Frankie, who's a committed partner now.
Hey everyone, my name is Frankie Mazzapica. I'm the senior pastor at Celebration Church here in the Woodlands. The Woodlands is just outside the city of Houston. I say that because about 2 years ago, I was enjoying a cup of coffee and I opened up my laptop and I saw that there was a Canadian company wanting to come to the city of Houston to open up a sex robot brothel. Now, I have a 16-year-old that just taught me what TikTok was. So I was most certainly behind the curve of what a sex robot brothel was. As I continued to read the article, I saw that there was a non-for-profit organization by the name of Elijah Rising, and they were fighting against this Canadian company. They wanted to keep them from coming here to open up this sex robot brothel, and they won. They kept the organization from coming to the city of Houston. I was so impressed by their tenacity. I was so impressed by their grit and their stand for holiness that I invited them to come to Celebration Church to share their story. Celebration Church was so impressed that they gave very, very generously that day. I anticipated that it was going to be a one-time give. But the energy and the momentum of that one day when we brought Micah Gamboa to tell us about Elijah Rising was so high that it has been a 2-year relationship of investing financially and partnering relationally. I want to encourage anyone here that's listening, watching, to do the exact same thing. They are at the tip of the spear and they are fighting against this sex trafficking epidemic that is so incredibly sinful, and they're doing a phenomenal job. Partner with them, stay committed with them. You'll be glad you did, just like we are.
We know that many people are watching from all over the country and all over the world. So wherever you call home, we would love for you to comment down below whether you're on Facebook or YouTube and tell us where you're watching from. It shows us so much excitement and joy to see the support come from not only our community, but from our connected greater community of people fighting for justice. We're finally moments away from being able to share with you something that we are so unbelievably proud of. I can't stress you enough how absolutely honored we are that you would join us this evening. I hope that you feel comfortable, that you feel ready, that your heart is open to hear some of the most amazing stories that we are so grateful even just to have a small part of. Now, we are going to take it over to the church where it's going to be absolutely live. We're going to watch this all together. So thank you so much for being here with me in the pre-roll show. I hope that you had fun, and I hope that you're now ready to see something that is absolutely life-changing.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Elijah Rising Gala. My name is Audrey Manito, and I currently serve as the board chair of Elijah Rising.
My name is Nim Manito, and I'm an advocate for ending sex trafficking, alongside my wife Audrey for over 8 years.
And this is Kiwi, our 6-month-old puppy. You know, up until 2003, Kiwi was afforded more protections under Texas state law than a trafficked woman, man, or child. That's because in 1973, animal cruelty laws were passed in the state of Texas, protecting animals from things such as being overworked. However, it wasn't until 2003 that Texas passed laws to protect men, women, and children from being trafficked. But much progress has been made since then.
What you'll hear tonight are stories of triumph, reconciliation, and courage at Elijah Rising. That in the face of insurmountable horrors, there is hope.
So we welcome you tonight. We ask that you will prepare your hearts, your minds. Everything that you hear tonight are going to be coming from the front lines of Elijah Rising. Join us, and together, let's eradicate sex trafficking.
Thanks, Audrey and Nim. We are so thankful that you, our viewers, have chosen to spend this evening with us from across the nation. We are honored to bring you these true stories of triumph over trafficking tonight. This is an interactive event, and our team is standing by live in the comments section of both YouTube and Facebook to engage with you throughout the evening. And now, we are proud to present the premiere of the original film, Restored, She Will Rise.
I don't even know how to process tonight. I was not prepared. Honestly, the only reason I went on that van tour was because of some social media post. I didn't know I'd walk away feeling like this. God, you have to help me. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm disgusted, and I am shocked. I never knew places like that existed, let alone operating right here in my own city. Brothels, where women are sold for sex like items on a retail shelf. Cantinas, where girls are placed on menus and treated like commodities. Illicit massage parlors, where women are rated and reviewed online like objects. Streets where humans are exploited and treated like scum. I saw a picture of a girl that looked like she was the same age as my own daughter. I have to do something. God, there is no way I can believe in you and do nothing. There is no way I can love you and turn away from injustice. Love does not remain idle in the face of injustice, and I will not pretend like this problem is someone else's responsibility. I have to do something. I have to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, those that are being trafficked and exploited. God, they are your children too. Show me my place in this fight. How can someone like me do something? What do I do? God, please show me my place. I know you didn't stir up this compassion in me for nothing. No, you're calling me to do something. You're calling me to this fight. And my answer is yes. Yes, I will stand up for the lost. Yes, I will stand up for the broken. Yes, I will stand up for justice. Yes, I will stand up against trafficking. Yes, I will stand up and fight. Here I am, God. God, use my yes.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How's your day going?
Good. Things are good.
Yeah. How's the kids?
Oh, they're doing well. Hanging in there. How about your daughter?
Oh, good. Ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. I don't remember going through this when I was a kid. I'm such a social butterfly, and I earned my wings, honestly, because all the women in my family are social butterflies, including my daughter. Well, she was. That's what makes this whole thing so weird. This phase.
Phase?
Whatever it is, she's just not been acting like her normal, bubbly self. She's quiet and reserved. Dinner time dialogue has been reduced to one-word responses. She acts like family time is a death sentence. The only family member she really engages with is the dog. She just wants to bury herself in that phone. We finally had to enforce the no phones at the dinner table rule, and now we can barely get her to finish a full meal because she's so desperate to get back to the phone. I'm telling you, technology is taking over our kids.
I don't think it's technology that's taking over.
Of course it is. She's 13. That's all kids her age are interested in these days.
No, I mean, it's not so much technology as it is the people behind the technology.
You lost me.
I was listening to this radio station one morning, and they were talking about how predators use online platforms to target kids.
Oh, God.
Hear me out. This lady was sharing the warning signs of human trafficking and exploitation.
My kid lives with me. She's not being trafficked. Gosh, it doesn't take much to get your attention, does it?
Now, she was talking about kids being obsessive about being online, being protective of their cell phones, being secretive about their online activities, getting angry when they can't go online, becoming oddly close with social media friends, and hiding their computer screens anytime someone walks by.
Sounds like kids being kids to me.
True. Except I saw these behaviors in my own kid. She was being groomed by some guy she met on social media, and I had no clue. Hearing that segment on the radio literally saved my daughter's life.
What?
It's true.
But trafficking? How?
I didn't believe it either. So I went on this van tour after the show, and I was shocked to learn how many cases there are right here in our city.
Our city?
As soon as I got home, I checked my daughter's text messages, and there it was. All the evidence. She was one step away from running off to meet this guy.
No.
He had her convinced they were in love, and he was turning her against us, which explained why she was being distant and withdrawn. Yes, and I knew something had changed, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I, too, thought she was just acting like a normal teenager. But it was deeper than that. I thank God for revealing the truth. It saved her life. And I don't mean to scare you. I just don't want anyone to have to go through what we went through. And in addition to my personal experience, I've taken a lot of time to learn. And I share what I learn with everyone in an effort.
I think my daughter is in trouble.
Okay. I know exactly where to start.
O Lord, you are mighty, you are gracious, and you are good. I didn't know what to expect out there, but I knew you were with me. And the moment I saw Sierra wandering, I know why you sent me, God. I get it now. You're a father to the fatherless. You're a defender of widows. You place the lonely in families. And these girls out there, they need families. Sierra needs a family. She needs to be centered around people who will love her, even if she is terrified of reciprocity. She needs people who will believe in her, even if to her faith is a fantasy. She needs people who will look beyond any progressive or regressive behaviors and see that on the inside, she carries the weight of a heart that has been abused and broken. She needs a family, God. And there's a reason you led me to volunteer. And of all things, intervention. Just as I have cried out to you to intervene in my own life, I'm being called by you to intervene and intercede for Sierra and all these girls whose lives have been shattered by this atrocity. And that's what I'm doing, Lord. Show me how to help Sierra. Lead my actions and give me words. Keep my motives agreeable to yours. Heavenly Father, I vow to be a reflection of you and your love for your daughter Sierra. I vow to fight for her in prayer. She will not be defeated. She will rise up and walk in righteousness. She will know that you have called her by name and you have clothed her in dignity. Her past will not deter her purpose. God, remind her who she is in you. Let her know that she is loved by you and that she is fearlessly and wonderfully made. Awaken her spirit and let her hear your voice. Rescue her. Restore her. Lead her along the path of everlasting life. Oh God, I know you are holding every tear Sierra shed as she cried with me tonight, and not a single tear will be wasted. You heard what I could not hear, the cry of her soul. She needs you, God. Rescue her. Save her. Show her the way of escape. Please, God, rescue her. Amen.
I was tired all the time. I was hungry all the time. I was in pain all the time. Some days he convinced me that I needed him. Other days he convinced me that he needed me. It was a twisted cycle of deceit and manipulation that I interpreted as love simply because he called us partners. Business partners and life partners, he would say. Yeah, except I never saw a dime. He never shared his food, let alone his money. He was a pretender, but I accepted his version of love because it was all that I knew. I wanted so many times to leave before, but the consequences of getting caught terrified me. I was no stranger to what he was capable of. And then, one night, I heard this voice. I knew it had to be God because of all the voices in my head. This was the one voice I could hear clearly. My so-called business partner forgot to hide his car keys. He never, ever forgot to put his keys away. I woke up and it was like God led me right to them. There they were, right there on the table in plain sight. It actually freaked me out a little bit. And him, he was in deep drunken sleep. It was the perfect setup. I finally had a way out. I had been crying out to God, secretly reading the Bible, believing in a miracle, and he heard me. He actually heard me. I didn't waste any time either. I grabbed those keys and I hauled my ass. Sorry. I mean my behind out of there. I was able to reach out to some folks I met one time while they were praying for girls on the street. I call them my angels. They fed me, took me to a safe place, and now I think this is what peace feels like. Looking back, I can honestly acknowledge the truth. He was not my partner. He was my trafficker, AKA exploiter, AKA all the other fancy words that to me just mean pimp. You can say I left the life, but me, I wasn't living. I was being sold. But not anymore. I thank God for speaking to me that night. I thank God for the angels he sent me who gave me that hotline number, and I thank God that they never stopped praying. God rescued me.
I was thirsty. I was hot. And I was faced with one of the biggest decisions of my life. I mean, how was I supposed to support a baby? The voices in my head argued as one side of me wanted to take a chance at the mommy thing, while the other side of me could only hear the negativity from people I trusted. I was scared, confused, tired of thinking, and really, I was thirsty. So where do you go? When you're mentally drained, emotionally fatigued, physically tired, and spiritually broken? The church. It was the biggest one on the block. And surely it was strategically planned in the middle of a red zone waiting for people like me to cry out for help. So I did. I mustered up the courage and the last bit of whatever strength I had to walk over and knock on its doors. My fists were sweaty and numb as I pounded the door for what seemed like forever. I mean, I almost beat the door down. I needed help. I needed it right away. Finally, this short little lady came to the door and greeted me with questions in her eyes. I felt her effort to acknowledge me as her equal, but she struggled, and it was downright just awkward. Before I knew it, the words, "Can I please talk to someone?" left my lips and aimed directly towards this little lady. Well, she was taken aback, but I couldn't tell if it was because of my words or the fact that I was nearly drowning in my own tears. I repeated myself over and over until I felt like she heard me. In between sobs, I waited for a response, some kind of response. I felt her hesitation as she replied, "No pastors are here to speak with you right now." I could not believe it. There I was, begging for help, pleading for an answer of whether I should choose life or death, and the very place I thought would help didn't have time for me. Really? No one was there to speak with me? She looked like someone to me. Was I not worthy of 5 minutes of her time? Would her response be different if I looked different? Smelt better? Dressed nicer? Would her response be different if she knew I was scheduled for an abortion the very next morning? I just needed to talk. I just needed someone to see me. I needed help. Instead, her lack of empathy snatched the small amount of hope I had left away from me. I felt so humiliated, unimportant, and defeated. The feeling was familiar. It was the same feeling I had when my trafficker would send me out. She did let me get a drink of water, but I walked away even more confused, scared, and broken. Thankfully, my child's fate did not end with the no I received from that church. Somehow, I found one more boost of strength to reach out to a hotline number I received one night. Immediately, I was surrounded by people who supported me, walked alongside me, and encouraged me to become a mommy to the best kid on the planet. They led me to safety and helped build my faith. So I still have struggles. In fact, it's been a long and difficult process. But God has given me so much peace in this process. Peace like I have never experienced before. These people, they taught me that the church, the true family of God, extends far beyond any building. They taught me that the church is a people on fire for God, spreading the love of Jesus through their actions. It is that same love that saved my baby's life.
Hey. Hi. Dear Lord. Oh, gosh, I suck at this. I know I don't do this often, but I feel like I should have something to say to you. I guess, thank you. Yeah, thank you, for saving me. I don't know if this plan came directly from you or if it came from those crazy praying Christians, but it seems to be working. Okay, they aren't crazy. Forgive me for calling them that. It's just, I don't really know very many people that would go out their way to help and find people like me. But I'm so glad they did, though, because right now I'm on my way to a house in the middle of nowhere, and it's supposed to be really peaceful, but duh, you already know that already, don't you? I don't think I've ever been this excited to go to the middle of nowhere in my life. Away from all the noise, away from all the drama, away from people trying to tell me to do things that I don't want to do. It's not like I haven't thought about leaving this life before, but there's something special about this time. Maybe it is the people helping me, or maybe it's because I'm gonna be far away, or maybe it's just you trying to get my attention. I don't know. But I'm not gonna lie to you, though. And I probably shouldn't, because I'm talking to you right now, but there's a part of me that's scared to go, because I have no idea what to expect. But there's also a bigger part of me that's ready to try something different. But I don't know if I can trust these people, and you know how I am with people I do not trust. Yes, these people are nice and everything, but I can't let them in so soon. Not all the way, not yet. But I will promise that I will try my best, though. Well, that's all I got for now. So, it was good talking to you, and I hope to try this again soon. Who knows, maybe this freedom thing will work out for me anyway. I just want to let you know that I really do appreciate you, and I would love to get to know you more. I have a feeling that I will get that opportunity being a part of this program. Oh, and thank you for Elijah Rising. I don't know where I would be if they didn't find me.
Oh, what a place. The Elijah Rising Restoration Campus. And to think I hated it when I got here because I thought it was so square. Now I call this place home, and it genuinely feels that way, even though it's temporary. I finally found out what restoration means. The action of restoring to an original condition. Restoring to reinstate or to bring back. At first I was like, bring back to what? I mean, what on earth would I be restored to since my life has been a nightmare for as long as I can remember? And then I learned what restoration means to God. To be returned to Him, to be restored to the person He created me to be, His child and in His image. Deep, right? I know. I've learned so much in such a short time, I feel like a philosopher or a theologian or something. I've learned to be confident and fearless. I've learned that I'm resourceful and courageous. I've learned that it's okay for me to be me, and there's no expectation for me to be someone I'm not. I've embraced my vulnerability, and I've learned the beauty of transparency. And apparently, I'm quite the poet. I've been in programs before, but none like this. These people get me, and they programs fit me. Did you see what I did there? Poet, I tell you. But all jokes aside, they've taken the time to get to know me in the process of me getting to know myself. And trust me, each stage of my process is different. One time I had to do an activity with my counselor where I had to come up with something to tell my younger self. I didn't have the words then, but I think I have them now. I'd look at my younger self and I'd say, girl, life isn't all roses and butterflies, but I promise you, if you keep the faith, the good will always outweigh the bad. I tell her that even on her loneliest nights, that she will never be alone, that there are people out there that are praying for her that don't even know her. I tell her there are good people in this world, and godly men too. I'd let her know that there are people pouring their time and resources and money into building programs that will support her. I tell her there's a village waiting to walk with her. I would let her know to never give up on herself because she has so much life ahead. I'd give her the biggest hug, the kind that leave you gasping for air a little bit. And I would tell her that no matter what she goes through in life, that God will always be there to restore her. Always. Yeah, that's what I would tell her.
I didn't think I would make it. The constant reminders of failure ejected through the mishandling of my innocence diminished every dream I had about love. I was trained not to love myself by subjecting my body to be violated by impersonators pretending to know my worth. Even if it was by force, it was still my body, and I was powerless in a battle that should have never begun in the first place. I would go so far as to say the physical torment was perhaps the least painful. Pain cannot be inflicted upon someone who can no longer feel. I learned to leave my mind so the mental damage would not hurt. And I convinced myself that the emotional roller coaster was fun. It was the only way to cope. The most terrifying, however, the thing that I could not deny away was the attack on my spirit. Do you know how scary it is to literally watch your hope fade away? Once hope is gone, what's left to fight for? I was drowning, and I was on my last breath when I met those people on Outreach. Outreach. I was crying out for help, reaching for something to hold on to, and there they were. They gripped me with their love and pulled me out of the coffin that held me captive. It is through them that I learned how big God really is. They reminded me that even though He's busy handling everything in the universe, He still has time to look out for me. Now, through the grace of God and really cool people, I completed the program. Restoration program, they call it. I have to be honest, I'm nowhere near being completely restored. You know, because I choose to be restored in Christ daily. And for the rest of my life, I never ever want to do life alone again. Today, as I prepare to soar high in freedom, I promise myself and God to dream like I've never dreamed before. I promise to embrace the newness this life has for me while protecting the fragile memories that remind me of how far I've come. I promise to remove the labels that try to define me by honoring my identity in Christ. I am not a victim. I am an overcomer. Trafficking happened to me. It did not become me. Because of the help of passion-led people willing to dive into the darkest places of humanity, because of the persistence of prayer warriors contending for the souls of the lost, because of the hearts of people willing to pour out their time, gifts, money, support, because of faith-filled organizations, I now have a shot at freedom. I'm free to have a choice. I'm free to speak. I'm free to pray. I'm free to leave. I'm free to have a family. I'm free to smile. I'm free to live. So I guess all I have to say is thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
I mean, wow, what a deeply moving experience. I mean, even as someone who's been a part of the planning and the production of this film, that was still deeply impactful to me. And every single one of those stories is true. A real life testimony of triumph over trafficking. And to be honest, this is just a handful of stories that we could tell. We have hundreds and hundreds of testimonies just like these that demonstrate the power of God in the lives of overcomers and advocates alike. And truth be told, I mean, we kind of struggled to pick which stories we wanted to bring to the film because we see God move. We see testimonies like this on a near daily basis. And we know that there are many, many more to come. And now I would like to welcome the executive director of Elijah Rising to the stage.
Thank you so much for joining us. You know, we are here because we believe that every life deserves the chance to be restored. I want to start by telling you a quick story. It's August 26, 1960 in Union, Mississippi. A local pastor, while driving in his truck, was ambushed by 30 Ku Klux Klan members. Their sole purpose was to, quote, wipe out the Bible college that this man had started. Why were they so offended? Why did they hate him so much? His singular offense was offering a biblical education to the Black community. Now, he was a white man, you see, and so he had seen the abuse, the neglect, and the oppression that this community was facing, and he decided to step in. He decided to do something about it. As this was not even his community, mind you, he was a white man. He could have stayed far away from the entire issue of racism, untouched. But he felt a calling from the Lord to enter into the sufferings of the Lord's people. And he decided that at any cost, this was worth it. So he left a pastorship, a thriving, comfortable pastorship in another state to come down to rural Mississippi, bring his kids and his wife, and begin serving the Black community at great risk. He was willing to do whatever it took to stand up for what was right. These 30 Klansmen beat him with their fists and with weapons for 45 minutes until he blacked out. Thinking that he was dead, they rolled him under his truck, found some wood, put it underneath, and lit it all on fire. Somehow, miraculously, this man regained consciousness and was able to drag himself out of that fire and somehow find a hospital where Catholic nuns began to take him in. Once the word reached the Klan that this man, this pastor, was still alive, they came to the hospital to finish the job. These nuns bravely hid this man in the attic until the Klan left. They nursed him back to health. And it was only because of the courage of these nuns and the determination of that pastor and probably the divine intervention of the Lord that this man not only survived, but recovered. Now, you would think at this point that this pastor would call it quits. You say, that is crazy. You almost lost your life. Why don't you just stop what you're doing? You're obviously hated. You're coming up against a crazy amount of opposition. But he decided to continue. He persevered. And he actually relocated to rural Fort Bend County, where he began from nothing. He started from scratch, rebuilding by hand another thriving Bible college serving the Black community. He continued his mission, and today he is honored for his legacy, his determination, and his sacrifice. Now, if you haven't noticed already, if you haven't figured it out already, this former Bible college is actually the very site of the Elijah Rising Restoration Campus. And we are so honored in a small part to continue his legacy of serving the underprivileged and the oppressed. We believe that at any cost, every life deserves a chance to be restored. And that's why we're here tonight. I am inviting you to become a part of this story. And by doing so, I can guarantee you that you will be a part of directly impacting lives. You will be a part of building a comprehensive solution that will outlive us, and you will leave a lasting legacy. But what is the vision? What is the story that I'm even inviting you into? I want to tell you a little bit about it. Currently, we have a home that is beautiful, has been renovated, and is currently serving women who have survived the brutality of sex trafficking and exploitation. This home right now can serve 6 women. You know, safe homes across the country, nationwide, on average, serve anywhere from 5 to 8 survivors in one home. And so we could stay right where we are. We could not grow. We could stay where we are and not grow, not expand, and be right on par with industry standard. But there is a way bigger need than just the 1,000 or so beds that are available in the nation. And so we are offering a bigger solution. And you know, it's not about being grandiose. It's not about making Elijah Rising the biggest and the shiniest and the best or anything like that. But it is because we have been gifted by God and by supporters like you, 84 acres with 10 buildings. And we feel a responsibility to steward, to manage, and to cultivate that land and those buildings into the fullest expression of life possible. And it's because we believe in a God who is limitless. We believe in a God who has declared himself as the father to the fatherless, as the covering for the orphans and the widows, as the restorer of hearts, and there is no lack in him. There is no lack in him. And so I want to share with you the long-term vision. What am I inviting you into tonight? Where are we going in the next 5, 10, even 20 years? We want to develop these 84 acres to have multiple homes where we can serve all the different demographics, young women, old women, women with children. We want to see us have a worship center recreational facilities. It's so critical for the restoration of your heart, of your soul, and your body to do things with your body that are healthy, right? We want to see social enterprises, micro enterprises pop up, training centers, an on-site daycare, a training center for job skills, GED classes, all of these things and more. We see the long-term vision becoming, this property becoming a comprehensive restorative solution that can serve dozens and dozens and dozens of women and eventually their children. You know, that's the number one reason that women get rejected from aftercare homes in the United States. Is because they either have custody of their children or they're trying to get their children back. They are rejected from aftercare. We want to serve that population, and we need to do it quickly. We foresee this campus becoming a place where community and a sense of family can begin to heal the wounds of neglect, abuse, and oppression. And we have some big dreams about self-sufficiency, which I won't get into, but gardens and orchards and even, solar-powered energy or whatnot, becoming multiple streams of income, increasing our self-sufficiency. Because while I believe that at any cost, every life deserves a chance to be restored, I also believe in economies of scale. And as we grow and as we expand, these individual costs will actually decrease, enabling us to serve more and more women. Lastly, we are building a program that will outlast us. You know, some of the models that we have been pulling from, the experts in the field, if you will, they're almost 100 years old, just serving orphans, serving widows, serving women. And so we're pulling from those people who have gone before us, and we believe that we are building for the next generation. And this is why it's so important, because there really isn't any roadmap for this work. Aftercare for sex trafficking victims is only about 6 years old nationwide. And so this movement is very young. And what that means is that there are no best practices. There's really no standard of care for adult women. And there's certainly no handbook for what we're doing. That's why we are investing time, energy, a lot of prayer into this residential program. Not only that, but we want to be able to create that template for others to follow. Freely you have received, so freely give. And that is the way we want to go. We want to be able to give handbooks and manuals and trainings out so that people don't have to make the same mistakes that we did. We want these programs to be fully scalable and replicable so we can see that bed space number go up across the nation. You know, we made a lot of mistakes along the way. As you can probably imagine, there's no handbook for this. So there were a few mistakes that we made. Initially, one mistake, for example, we made, we saw this huge kind of dorm building on our property, and we mistakenly thought that we could just serve dozens and dozens of women right out of trauma, right off the street, right out of the brothels in this institutional type facility. We were wrong. And so we had to pivot. We had to change our strategy. Another mistake we initially made is we thought we could pretty easily serve women and their children. Not so. We realized very quickly that these children had gone through an immense amount of trauma. They had seen a lot of the same things that their mothers had. And so we need to build a fully holistic, caring program, trauma-informed program for them as well. And so that is what we are working on. We've made some mistakes, but we've also faced a lot of challenges. You know, that pastor, after he relocated to Fort Bend County, you would probably think like smooth sailing, but he faced a lot of challenges. He continued to. He had fires and floods on the property. There was a series of tornadoes that blew through the campus and actually killed one of their students. But he kept persevering. He kept going. And so, you know, we've had a lot of challenges along the way as well. And in no way am I elevating Elijah Rising to his standard of sacrifice. But there have been very real challenges. Some of them, for example, just for fun, we had a massive infrastructure breakdown whenever we moved onto the property. We purchased the property in 2015. Our municipal-sized water well blew out, and so we were without running water for 18 months, without power for 3 months, side note. Now, this was before residents, right? So there were no women on the property at that time, just staff. There's another time that we had completely renovated one of the houses. We were so proud of it too. We had done the sheetrock and the painting a lot, but with our own labor and volunteers. And then a pipe burst, flooding the entire property, and we had to restart. We have had several actually, near-death experiences on our team that shook us to our core. Not during interventions, mind you. Interventions are very safe, and we would love to have you join us on outreach. We most recently had a vehicle just completely drive through our building. No one got hurt, thank God, but demolished our brand new office space. And so we were working out of a closet almost for about 9 months. And we're weathering a pandemic together, right? That's why I can't see your beautiful faces. That's why I can't shake your hand in person. We're going through this challenge together. But there was one challenge. They did a study actually nationwide across safe homes and saying, what was your most unexpected challenge? What was the thing that kind of took you by surprise? The number one was the level of spiritual darkness. They were unprepared for the level of spiritual darkness that they were facing in this line of work. And I can completely attest to that fact. This is a hard job, right? This is hard work. And you laboring with us, we are partners in this work. And I imagine that there have been times that you also were tempted to quit. You were probably tempted to quit because this issue is so large and it's so dark. It is very, very spiritually heavy. And so many times we've been tempted to quit as well. But we persevere because we have a vision. I know in my spirit that no matter how long it takes, no matter the personal cost, that this vision is where we are headed. But so why does this matter, right? So what kind of work and what impact are we seeing right now? A vision is great, but if we don't have the tangible work right now to back it up, what are we accomplishing? So there was another story. You remember the monologue that you probably just watched? The woman who was in the mirror talking to God, she was having that conversation, trying to test out prayer, and she was nervous about coming to the home. That was a real story. She was super nervous, and actually on her drive, she was passing all this rural farmland. We're way out in the country, and she was like, where am I going? I don't know what I just got myself into, right? I'm gonna be in a shack or something like that. I don't know what is going on. So she was a little bit scared. She was a little bit nervous. But as soon as she reached the home, beautifully lit up, comfortable furnishings, she walked in across the threshold and she just began to cry. Not only that, she just was so taken aback that people that she didn't even know were coming together, banding together, providing a home, and not just a home, but a beautiful, safe space for her. She just began to cry. She said, my family didn't even want me. My family abandoned me. They didn't even want me, and these strangers are taking me in. It matters because together we are creating a safe environment for healing to occur. It matters because together we are counteracting the lies, the neglect, the abuse that have been these women's reality for so long. There's another one of our residents who just in talking with her in passing, she was saying, I should have been dead. There are so many times that I should have been dead. Beatings, overdose, on the streets. I know that in those moments I felt this something protecting me, and I didn't know what it was. But she said, I am so excited now to walk into this program and get to realize that it was actually Jesus. I get to know the man who was protecting me. It matters because together we are providing a safe space to encounter the love of the Father. There's so many stories like that. I just need you to know that women are coming to us of their own volition, being impacted by Jesus, encountering Jesus in dreams, coming to us wanting to be baptized. So many stories where they're actually getting to know the love of the Father. It matters because we're seeing residents go back to school, get their GED, re-entering college. It matters because we're seeing them be provided job skill training, employment opportunities. They are being equipped to make a living wage outside of trafficking, outside of prostitution after they leave our program. It matters because we are addressing all of their medical, their dental, their mental health needs. So many of the women who come into our program haven't seen a doctor in years. And that's not an exaggeration. You know, there was one outreach that we were on. We were in a hotel room, and this woman, actually her pimp was downstairs waiting for her. She was in the hotel room. She thought she was going on a date. And so we were just talking to her, helping her make her feel comfortable, letting her know what her options for exit were when she went into septic shock. So of course we called 911. They came. As soon as the lights came, the flashing lights, the pimp left. And that was the only reason that she was able to exit that situation. Her pimp would not let her get any dental service. She had an abscess tooth. And so she went into shock, and we were able to get her the emergency dental care that she needed. So it matters because together we are addressing the vulnerabilities that led to her exploitation in the first place. Things like job skill training, medical care, education opportunities, all of those things. We are really honored to also partner with one of the most esteemed sex trafficking, anti-trafficking therapists in the whole region. And so we are able to provide excellent trauma therapy. Next year, we are aiming to not just expand into one more home, one more safe home, but also to begin providing post-graduation housing. And this matters because so many times pimps or traffickers will exploit these vulnerabilities. They will intentionally make sure that they get put out on the street in places where they are bound to get arrested, elevating their criminal record. So they're coming to us with felonies sometimes. Their pimps will intentionally take out loans, steal their identities, ruin their credit history. So after a program, it's very difficult for them to find a rental, right, an apartment. So we want to provide that stepping stone. There's a lot more. There's a lot more stories. There's a lot more that this work entails. But I want to give you a quote from a famous abolitionist. She said it best when she said this: "This work, with all that it implies of struggle, victory and defeat, sorrow of the deepest, joy of the fullest, it is difficult to convey what has actually taken place. In a way, the most vital part of this work is chronicled only in our hearts." And that is so true. We struggled to figure out which stories to tell because there are so many stories of hope and healing and breakthrough that we really want you to know. But it's hard. There are hard moments too, right? It's hard for someone to come out of a trafficking situation, to begin to unpack that trauma and to have the courage to brave the healing journey. And that's why these women who have survived this situation are the true heroes of this story. We believe that at any cost, every life deserves a chance to be restored. And so I invite you again to commit to be a part of this story. By partnering with us, you can be sure that you are raising an outcry, that you are reaching women in their exploitation, and that you are restoring lives. There's another quote I want to leave you with. Now, we are called to exercise a great faith, a gigantic faith, a faith which looks at the Bible through from beginning to end, which is able to grasp what has been, what shall be, and what God has promised. Immense as the task is before us, nothing shall ever shatter our faith. The justice of our cause is our surety of success. Look, individually, we might struggle to make a huge impact, but together, how many lives can we impact? Together, how many families can we see restored? I believe in a God who is absolutely limitless, who can blow past every goal, every hope, every dream, every vision, every master plan that we have set forth. And I know you do too. I pray that you will partner with us. I pray that you will join this story and that you will become a member of the Elijah Rising team. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frankie Mazzapica. I'm the senior pastor of Celebration Church in the Woodlands. I just would like to say that I honor you for sitting down tonight to watch this virtual gala. 2020 has just been a crazy year. Had I known that 2020 was going to be this wild, I don't know that I would have celebrated the new year on December the 31st, 2019, the way I did. I think I would have found a seatbelt and a helmet to put on because this has just been a complete roller coaster of a year. Having said that, I'd like to point out that you yourself, despite how crazy 2020 has been, you have chosen to put your mind's focus on kingdom business. That's why you're watching tonight, because God's business is important to you. And I just would like to say, even though I haven't had the opportunity to meet you personally, I honor you for that. I would like to bring our attention to some of the things that we've seen this evening. Thanks to Elijah Rising, thanks to Micah and David Gamboa, they have brought to the forefront a critical issue in regards to sex trafficking. I have not found a ministry that has brought the awareness to the forefront the way they have, and I'm thankful for it. But bringing awareness to the problem is helpless without support. This is where you and I come in. They must have our support in order to do what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is absolutely amazing to me. Not only are they trying to bring awareness to this modern day slavery, this sex slavery that's going on behind the scenes and underground, not only are they trying to bring awareness, but they're bringing prevention. I mean, they literally go into the areas where sex is being sold. They walk in and they meet with these young ladies and they try to rescue them right there on the property that they met them in. They go to them. Unlike the local church where we hope people come to us, they are going to them. I've never seen an organization do that before. But then they go another mile where they've purchased property and they're building homes to where these women can be restored in a safe place. See, a lot of times these women are rescued out of slavery, but they have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to lay their head down at night. And many of these women have children of their own. And so they don't know where to go. This is where Elijah Rising has done something that, once again, I've never heard of any other ministry doing to this degree. They've bought in so much property in the south area of Houston, and they're building homes. But they are relying on you and I to give them the ability to build. Without our financial support, they cannot build these homes. They cannot operate the way they've been operating. Their goal this evening is to raise $200,000. I don't know how you are considering supporting them, but this is what I would like to challenge you to do. I'd like for you to consider giving one of the greatest gifts you have ever given them before. Because 2020 has been such a challenge for so many people financially, they are relying on you and I to give sacrificially in order to meet their goals. I can say this, our church, Celebration Church, we have committed to not only giving them a sacrificial offering, but we're also partners with them on a monthly basis. And so I'd like for you to consider that, to give one of the greatest, one of the most sacrificial gifts you have ever given before. I'd like to remind us of a scripture in the Bible. It's in Proverbs chapter 11, verse 25, where it says this, "Those who bless others will be abundantly blessed." The Lord literally looks down and takes note of you and I as we give. And He says, I can trust giving them blessings because what I give to them flows through them. So you can expect God to bless you all the more as you bless Elijah Rising. And let's also keep in mind, we're not giving our money to an organization. We are giving our money to individuals. We're giving our money to the women that we have never met before so that they can have a place to lay down, they can have food to eat. So as you're giving today, I'd like for you to do two things. I'd like for you to ask the Lord, how much do you want me to give tonight? And then the second thing I want you to do, to the best of your ability, I want you to try to imagine the faces that are out there that you've never met before, that you imagine their faces, you imagine their lifestyle, and just whisper to them. They can't hear you, but just whisper to them in their heart, I'm helping you. I'm helping you. I'm doing the best I can to help you. The last scripture that I'd like to share with you is in Proverbs chapter 11, verse 24, where it says, those who bless others, their world becomes larger and larger. Here's the truth of the matter. When the Lord sees what you're doing, He makes sure that doors open for you. He makes sure that new relationships come into your life. He makes sure that your world gets larger and larger. I know I don't know you personally, but it is a pleasure to partner with you. And I look forward to meeting you soon, if not here on earth, in heaven, when we're celebrating all the things that we've done together through Elijah Rising.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We want to say a special thank you to those of you who have donated in advance of this evening, and to those of you who have donated during tonight's event. Thank you so much. If you are still wanting to make a donation, you can go to ElijahRising.org at any point and donate toward the work of restorative care, intervention, awareness, and prayer. We truly could not do this work without you, and we know that you, like us, believe that at any cost, every life deserves a chance at restoration.